Can you start a midterm short-term rental business 3,000 miles away without owning a house? How are we doing that? Rental arbitrage, co-hosting, whatever you want to call it, that's all coming up next. What's up, you guys? My name is Josh, and I'm a marketer and real estate investor, and I help others make content that connects and build income through real estate investing. So if you want to do either of those things, that's what I'm documenting. Make sure to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Real quick, this video is sponsored by Furnish Finder, but more on them later. Today we're talking about how we're launching a furnished rental on Furnish Finder. The 30 seconds of why that's good. You have your long-term rental, which has your traditional year-plus lease, and a lot of times it's the solid, stable rental class, but you get less cash flow. On the opposite side, you have your short-term rental. Way more cash flow, but a lot of people are concerned about parties, about noise complaints. You take the best of both worlds, meet in the middle, and that's your midterm rental. So you get corporate travelers, travel nurses, and you make almost as much, maybe even more money than a short-term rental, but you don't have all the hoopla to deal with it. Right now, we're working on our second tenant for $2,250 per month. So how can you get started in this business? How can you acquire your first one? Here's exactly what we did. We utilized an existing partnership. So we brought in a business partner for this unit, and that's my business partner now, Ash. This is an existing business relationship. We currently are managing 2 short-term rentals together, have a flip together, and are thinking about bigger deals, maybe like a hotel. Anyways, beside the point. Now, just because we already have done deals together doesn't mean that she was automatically, yes, let's go. I had to sell her into the process, and so here's what I did. So the first thing I had to do is make sure that our goals were aligned. Luckily, we have lots of conversations about how we can increase our cash flow per month, and short-term rentals and midterm rentals were a common goal that we had. So we had to make sure that whatever partner we're bringing on, those align first. The second thing I did was do all of the research on how much money she can make. So in order to give her data that would sell her on this project, I went on to Furnish Finder and I gave her how many midterm stay searches were happening in the Columbus market. And then I also showed her how many units were actually being used for midterm rentals, which in this case, the discrepancy is crazy. If you also want to learn how to pull this report, I have that linked on the first video, linked down below. So once I had the demand validated, I then also had to tell her what she can generate between the differences. These are all conversations and data points that I'm building for her so that she can make a decision if she wants to jump in on something like this with me. All of that's linked in the first video, so you'll know that on a long-term rental basis, she can get roughly about $900 a month for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. The best part is that that's actually confirmed because this unit is a duplex, side by side, and the one side is already occupied by a long-term tenant at $900 a month. So my data was spot on. From a short-term rental perspective, she can get $1,700 a month. So in this instance, Furnish Finder midterm rentals was her best play. So I came in with the highest and best use of the property, which is midterm rentals, and what's the demand for that area. From there, I was like, okay, if we did something, what the heck do we do? So the next thing I had to do was I had to find another way to add value. It wasn't enough just to say, hey, here's how much it can make, you wanna jump in. But I also just had to talk about, if we're using her house, her mortgage, she has the risk, what else can I do to add potential value? And in this case for me, it was furnishing the unit. So I offered that we can open a new credit card and I would 100% finance all of the furniture and build out that's needed. She didn't have to worry about putting any money up front into the deal. It was her property and I would assume the risk in all the furniture. We then worked out a potential agreement of what that payout could be. So we looked at what the cash flow could be and how we would break up the distributions. All in all, it was me leveraging. I brought to the table what the demand is for the area, how much she could make, and I also offered to bring the funds to furnish the unit. At that point, she agreed. So now you're probably thinking, Josh, I don't have a unit that I can do that to. I don't have a business partner. I've never done this before, no track record. How can I do this? It's a fair question, right? Okay, so the first thing I would say is go to meetups. Meet more people who are interested in the space and just understand their story and build meaningful relationships. You're meeting people, setting up Zoom calls, coffee meetups, whatever it is, but with the intention of just learning about their story and building a real relationship. Now, this is going to take time. So this is not going to be your, let's do a partnership on this first time I'm meeting you through coffee. It's gonna take some time to develop that trust in order for you guys to do business together. So real quick, a big thank you to our sponsor of this episode, Furnish Finder. Furnish Finder is the absolute go-to place if you're looking to host travel medical professionals or corporate travelers. Here are the few things that I love about Furnish Finder. One, it's $99 to sign up and that's it. They don't take a percentage of every single booking like the other platforms do. Two, because you're doing midterm stays, way less headache, less turnovers. They're staying for at least 30 days, sometimes up to 6 months, which means that you're not booking cleanings, restocking the toilet paper, and most of all, dealing with partiers because these are working, traveling professionals. Click the link down below and see how you can start hosting in your city today. The next thing I would do is analyze deals. Do the research of the market, learn how to calculate cash flow, and then these new real estate network that you have, approach them to say, hey, like I'm running some numbers. Can you double check my numbers that I'm analyzing? Because I'm not sure if it's all making sense and I want to see if I'm missing something. You are not pitching them the deal. You're just saying, can you double check my work? Now you're not selling someone on something. And so as you walk through what your thought process is about the market, about the deal, whether you're buying it or arbitraging it, they can potentially just account for what else you're missing. Once you run through the numbers with them, then you ask them, hey, what do you think? Would you do a deal like this? Because I don't even know. If they say yes, maybe you have a potential partner. Say, if I found a deal, something we could buy or arbitrage, would you want to go on it with me to split the risk? And you have that conversation a dozen times. You're gonna get a bunch of no's, but the more you pitch this, the better you'll get. And also, as you teach someone the business model that you're trying to run, you'll not only understand the entire concept better, but you also think about the worst case scenarios that these potential partners or double checkers bring up. Maybe you can't even buy a house. Can you arbitrage a unit? And what that means is that you are getting permission from a landlord or a property manager to sublease it to somebody else, whether it be on Airbnb, VRBO, Furnish Finder, direct booking. You are then taking the property. Say you are renting a 2-bedroom place for $2,000 a month. Can you, as a first rental, rent it for $4,000 or $5,000 a month? That's arbitrage. But you have to make sure that you're getting permission from the landlord and that you're adequately addressing all of their concerns. Who's gonna be staying? Who's in charge of maintenance? What if something breaks? You want me to do a whole video on the script that we're using to call different arbitrage units and some of the concerns that we have brought up with Ash? Make sure to subscribe because that's all in the next video. The last thing you can do is try it out with one of your own long-term rentals yourself. If you're a current real estate investor and you have long-term rentals or vacant units or even short-term rentals, what if you just put it on a platform like Furnish Finder for a couple months just to see what happens? That's the way that you can learn how to do it without needing to buy a course, without signing up for someone's program. It's just hands-on crap. I built it. Now how to execute it. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments below because I'd love to include that as we document our process in building out this midterm rental empire. Ultimately, it boils down to a few things. Really understand the market, what the drivers are of why someone would stay as a midterm rental. How much money can you generate versus other alternative ways of hosting? And then after that, can you develop the skills necessary to communicate the numbers to anybody else so that they can understand your business plan? If you found this at all helpful, please give this a like. It really helps the algorithm and it helps me know that, hey, this series is valuable for you. And then make sure to also subscribe because in the next upcoming episodes, I'm gonna tell you how we've completely furnished the unit from 3,000 miles away. I have never been to her unit, yet it is now, as you can see in the video on screen, completely done and furnished. How do we do that? You're gonna wanna subscribe and see the next video. I will see you guys on the next one. Cheers.